Hey viewers, welcome to the latest instalment of Warhammer 40k stop motion battle reports. This is a commentary review of last week's battle. Do this every month just about, and this time we have a battle between four parties. We have the Adeptus Mechanicus along here, basically using some Forge World models. Excuse these Grey Knights characters, they're part of the narrative storyline for those who've watched it last week. So we've got some Adeptus Mechanicus down here, and we've got a new chapter of Space Marines. I don't know if anyone's been following the storyline, but we've had this guy here who was trapped in the Tower of the Night Haunter. This is his chapter here, only a part of it. The rest of it's like sitting over there on the top shelf just there. Anyway, enough about that. So we've got the rest of the Mechanicus just here, and they are going against the Iron Warriors and some Chaos Demons on the same side. So this is our board. Just here, I've used this board a while ago. I've had it in storage for a bit actually, but I've brought it out. Of course, what we've got here is this is the Burning Saw, which is in our map. We've got a big lava section on there. There's a shrine as such where they're trying to summon a lot of demons to attack the Adeptus Custodes base. So basically the plan is here, our Grey Knights and the Death Watch, those three guys just there, going to come walking along here somewhere, and then they're going to run into this guy and they're going to have a bit of a chat. They're going to see a summoning ritual going up here where more demons are being summoned for the assault on the Custodes base, as I said, and then they're going to say, oh, what are we going to do? I've only got a handful of guys on my side, a couple of Terminator squads, a couple of Dreadnoughts, and they're going to go up against this. It's a bit much, so they're going to hatch a plan to somehow, I haven't actually worked out the fine detail yet, no doubt there's going to be some Adeptus Mechanicus, some really old stuff buried somewhere in here, and they're going to basically reactivate those automations, and then the battle's going to be on. Haven't actually worked out the detail yet, but you would have seen it last week. But that's what we have. We've got Adeptus Mechanicus, Space Marines versus Demons and Iron Warriors. Alright, we'll see how it pans out. Deployment phase next. Okay, so at this stage I've finished taping the introduction for last week's battle, and I've just done the deployment. So over this side what we had is we had our new Space Marine chapter here with the Grey Knights. They basically came up through here. The summoned creature that was there basically just took off, because the idea there is those creatures are heading up across the Burning Saw, leaving the Chaos Summoner that was there. He came down along this little path here, stood there, threw some trash at these large Dreadnoughts. Dreadnoughts zapped him, then they came up and killed, sorry, I shouldn't say killed, destroyed the altar just there. Meanwhile, our Chaos Army over here was coming back to defend their altar, and they said, oh look what's going on here. They've got quite a few things here. We've got Iron Warriors and Demons of Khorne. Our Dreadnoughts, one with a siege type weapon on this arm here, basically started mining this rock face here because there was like a sensor in there. That's the plan. It's one of these old Mechanicum robot things, and they basically quickly mined all this stuff out. This Mechanicum army came out of here, and then they got activated, and that's where we have our battle. So we've got Mechanicum, Space Marines. We've also got quite a lot in deep strike. So we've got Terminator crews here for the Space Marines. So the distress call's been sent out by the Space Marines. I did actually make a mistake, and in that initial retinue of Space Marines there's a Tech Marine. He should have been in there too, but I just parked him right behind there, so that's fine. So we've got some deep striking Space Marine units, and for Chaos we've got one Terminator crew, Demon Prince and a Greater Demon, so they're going to cause some mayhem at some stage. So there we go, deployments in place, let the battle be started. Here we are at the end of turn 1, first half of turn 1, and we've had the Iron Warriors kick things off, and we're playing the board sideways essentially on this one, so it's going to be a fair bit of movement in turn 1 as the armies converge. So no surprises, we had basically everyone just work their way across the board. The Hounds leading the charge at the front, but they're right in amongst some cover up here, so they should hold up fairly well from the fire. The only firing we had was fire from the tank here, and firing over here. Just tried to take out that unit there, but not to be. So I'm trying to change the presentation of the videos. You would have seen them last week. I really like to have an aerial shot, like up like this. You can see everything moving around from a tactical point of view. Really, the movement phase, so you can see what's going on. And the plan is, you'll see it in the last few videos, that I've done this comic thing where it has a close up. I'll take a photo there, and then it would have gone, sort of like boom just there. But the problem you've got there is you really don't know where they actually are on the board, I've found. So what I'm trying to do is go the first phase, movement, have everything move around. Then if there's going to be shooting, we basically try and get a shot that encompasses, both, where something's shooting to, so you can actually see what's happening. And then I'll save the comic strips to the end of the turn where there might be a few storyline elements. Just trying to give a bit better flow, and so you can actually see what's actually happening. I really think while the comics are okay, you really can't see who's shooting what. So that's the plan. Aerial shot for movement. Everyone moves around when everyone's shooting and probably assaulting, charging into combat, etc. I sort of move to a view kind of like that, and then at the end of the turn we go comic strips where someone might say, wow, that was a good shot, or time to smash some heads, whatever. Anyway, I'm rambling, so that's the end of first half of turn 1. Mechanicum turn coming up. Here we are at the end of turn 1. So the Mechanicum and the Space Marines have had their turn, and look, there's still a lot of no man's land, space in between, but we've had one Hound as casualties. As a casualty, let's just look at the board. We've got these, look, I can't even remember the names. Are they thralls, are they? They basically came from here and just moved down behind this little raised up section here, trying to get some cover before they then try and take this section in here, which is offering a heap of cover. And if they can take that, then they'll use that as a good position to fire on the Iron Warriors. We had some long range fire from Dreadnought, Mechanicum, and tried to take out that tank there. Hit it a couple of times, and it's on its last legs. It's probably not going to stay out in the open with those types of weapons firing at it, so might try and sneak into here or something and use that as a bit of cover. Hopefully everything else can surge forward. Don't forget, we've got some winged support greater demon there ready to come in, some dreadnoughts, so might look pretty strong up the back there, but drop a greater demon right there and it changes the game. Look over this side, we had this dread here, fire and take out that hound, and like I said, 1, 2, 3, fired on the tank, but didn't take it out. So that's it, that's the end of turn 1. Got turn 2 coming up shortly. Here we are at the end of the first half of turn 1. No, not turn 1, turn 2. Sorry about that. We've got chaos moving across the board. We've been leading the way with the hounds here, who are really just in range either to get into combat or get vaporised by the various firepower that's here. So we had the hounds just sitting there, we had the bloodletters just come up the side here trying to engage the Mechanicum just up the side here. We had a unit of Space Marines, Chaos Space Marines, just stand there in that little sheltered area just here in some good cover. They couldn't get a shot off though in this turn. Had some deep striking Terminators just pop down in this nice bit of cover here, which is what these guys are after. But Chaos beat them to it. Jumped down there, shot into the unit there and took out one. We had some firepower firing from here and the tank here and took out that unit there. Been hit a few times before. So that's another casualty. Everything else basically just moved up into position, like over here as well, just using the cover as best as possible. We did have a Demon Prince drop down and just sit there for now, no doubt trying to find the opportunity to jump over somewhere and start hacking things to bits. Unfortunately, our other deep striking unit, Greater Demon down here, didn't come out, so that gives some of the heavy firepower for the Mechanicum to cut as much as it can out of the enemy before it drops down. No doubt it'll want to kind of touch down around here and start hacking some of these big units to bits. I mean, not many casualties at the moment, only a few casualties, but we're only at the start of turn 2, so the second half of turn 2 coming up shortly. Here we are at the last part of turn 2, and the Mechanicum took the bait, I suppose you could say, in this turn. Let's start up the back here. This unit here had a choice whether to engage all those hounds there, but they stood their ground and fired into the advancing demons there. Absolutely decimated them, but didn't take the whole unit out, and now they're within melee range, so who knows how that's going to work out. Here they were just too good a target, all these hounds. All the heavy armour basically turned, they're all turned on them and just vaporised the whole unit. So that's what they did there. Our HQ unit for the Mechanicum, alongside this unit here, turned on the Terminators here and took out 2, even though they're behind some pretty heavy cover there. They got 2 taken out, so that's how that worked. We had some deep striking units up the back. We had some Terminators touch down, and there was a little bit of firing, and 1 Marine Iron Warrior got taken out. Likewise over this side, similar thing happened. The deep striking units basically taking heavy positions behind these elevated armoured positions here. Same over this side. So that's fairly good move, I suppose, from their behalf, and they fired and took out 1 unit just here. So that's really all we have for turn 2. There's a few within melee range now, and we also have 1 last deep striking unit left to come. Anyway, we'll wait and see what happens. Turn 3 coming up shortly. Here we are at the end of the first half of turn 3, and there's been quite a few skirmishes across the board. Let's start over here. We had this unit of Iron Warriors. They were here, they basically just turned around and faced the deep striking Terminators, mostly with lightning claws. Looked a bit dangerous there, and only took out one when they fired in there with various melter weaponry, mostly bolters, but still only took out one. It leaves a decision for these troopers, these Terminators here, whether to try and assault the tank there from behind or engage the troops just there. I'll have to think about what to do there. The tank here turned and fired at the other Terminator group, taking out one over here. They're pretty well entrenched there, so the tank's going to have a decision to make, whether to keep pounding away at that or choose another target. Anyway, these units in the middle here moved forward. The heavy weapons group here fired and tried to take out that dreadnought just there. Didn't work. Over here the demons charged into combat, and the defenders held up pretty well there. They still took 1, 2, 4 casualties, and the demons took 2, so that will be ongoing, I guess. Moving over the back here, surprise surprise, Terminators and the Demon Prince descended this little hillside here and engaged in melee combat, and really almost wiped the group out, to be honest. There's 4 remaining, and we did lose 1 Terminator as well, so have to wait and see how that pans out. There was this Chaos Construct came charging out of cover there and engaged the Leviathan Dreadnought, I think they're called. Yep, and both smacked each other around a fair bit, and they are ongoing, that battle. We had a deep striking Bloodthirster at the back here, really didn't engage anybody. It's probably going to take some fire, I'm guessing, from that weapon just there. But if it can survive that, it's going to be mayhem. That's about it. So the defenders, the Mechanicum and our new chapter of Space Marines are in a bit of strife really at this stage, but all it takes is a couple of well placed strategic hits and they'll be back in the game. We've got the second half of turn 3 coming up shortly. Here we are at the end of turn 3, and for once I've got someone else holding the camera because I hold it pretty much every time. So thanks to Kirsty for helping out and filming. So this is the board here. Let's just move our way across the board. Firstly, over this side we had the Terminators charge down the hill here and charge into the Iron Warriors, and took out a whole chunk. Lost one Terminator and a whole bunch of Iron Warrior Marines. Moving around the board over here, these Terminators are pretty well secure in this bastion, this fortified area, and they fired down here and took out two Marines down here. These guys over here, these Terminators, they had the choice to assault the tank here, but I thought if they tied up this mob here, kind of takes the tank out of play, means the tank's got to kind of fire against these guys. Don't know how it's going to roll out. Anyway, moving across the board. We had our Tech Magus charge into the Demon Prince here, and they duked it out, so they're still ongoing. We had these 3 cat-like things. I really don't know what their names are, to be honest, but they basically shot in and took out these 2 Terminators here. Also, these 4 were in combat before, but they fled and are leaving the scene. Moving up here, the Bloodthirster was fired upon. Here it only took a small wound there in this one, so everyone else is in a lot of trouble now. That Bloodthirster is going to go on a rampage. Over here, the Dreadnought and the Tech Marine fired into that squad of Marines over there and took out a couple, so they're fighting back. Over this side, this ongoing battle between the demons, with the demons over here, 2 casualties on each side, so they're basically duking it out, but it looks like the Mechanicum's got to run out of numbers there. So overall, it's pretty evenly balanced, I'd say. We'll see what sort of damage the Bloodthirster can do. We've got turn 4 coming up shortly. Here we are at the end of the first half of turn 4. Bodies everywhere. It's Chaos's turn, so let's start up here. We had a melee that was going on, and the demons just vaporised their opponents in that turn, so demons 1 up. In the middle here, we had las cannon fire taking out Tech Marine in the front. Guy Dreadnought in the back, unscathed, or still injured, but not in this turn. Look, I suppose over here we had the Demon Prince basically withdraw from combat using its wings, flying into this protected area here, allowing these guys here to fire upon the Tech Magus, taking him out from its mount, essentially. So it's just sitting there. It's kind of basically wounded, and that's how I'm demonstrating that. And it's just standing out on the side there. The other Leviathan Dreadnought was charged by the Iron Warriors Dreadnought and got taken out. It was heavily wounded to start with. Up here, this melee kept on going, and let me just think about what happened just there for a minute. Look, I think honestly that there was a mistake in that there are no casualties in this, so that melee is ongoing. We'll have to pick that up in the next turn. These things happen from time to time. They don't do it very often, but so that melee will continue. I suppose it's fairly evenly weighted, I guess, so it's not going to be a big issue. Anyway, I'll wait and see what happens. Up here we had the tank basically fire upon these guys up in the this protected area and didn't take anyone out. What else was going on? We had finally the Bloodthirster getting into combat, and that combat's going to go on for a bit, so no one was taken out there. So overall, quite a few casualties, a bit of a mistake on my behalf, a melee not actually accounted for, so look, that'll be picked up next turn, and I don't know who'll win that. We'll wait and see. Alright, there we have it. That's the end of the first half of turn 4. We'll see what happens next. Here we are at the end of the second half of turn 4, and the Space Marines and Mechanicum have fought back. We've had this ongoing battle here with the Bloodthirster, and look, that could go either way, but it's coming to its end, so we'll see in the next turn, I think, who's going to take that out. We had the Dreadnought go down by the sustained fire from these guys here. Over here, the Magus basically joined forces here and tried to fire upon the Demon Prince, but he's just bunkered down here and is not coming out in a hurry, so he's going to choose maybe whether to attack those guys or maybe go over and reinforce this, where we had a Dreadnought basically come from over there and attack this group here and take out 2 Marines. So that's that. Nothing going on over there because that's controlled by the demons. This battle, finally we actually started resolving it, and we've lost 3 Iron Warriors and 2 Terminators, so still ongoing. Over this side, Surprise, surprise, Terminators came down from their little hill section here and assaulted the tank and basically blew that up, so they control that area. So there's spot fires everywhere. Some parts the demons control, some parts the marines control. We'll have to wait and see how it pans out. Turn 5 coming up next. Here we are at the end of the first half of turn 5, and finally we've had a resolution to this battle up the back. Surprise, surprise, we've had the Bloodthirster finally take the upper hand and win that combat. So look out whoever's in range coming up shortly. Anyway, in the middle we had the Demon Prince, who was over in this rocky section here, just fly across this way, engage with this combat here, take out the Dreadnought. These demons were up on that hill over there, just came over here. They're really in no man's land at the moment. They can't really do much. This is Mechanicum over here. This combat, no surprise here as well. We've got the Terminators getting the upper hand. We lost one Terminator, but 2 Iron Warriors went down. So now we've got 2 Terminators versus the last remaining Iron Warrior. So we'll see how that pans out. Over here we've got the centre of the board taken in control of the Iron Warriors with various las cannons and heavy weaponry, basically fired upon this group of Terminators here, taking out 1. So still fairly even, could go any way. Second half of turn 5 coming up shortly. The battle rages on. Second half of turn 5, and the Space Marines and the Mechanicum have made a critical headway into the Chaos Army. Namely, over this side we had some fire on the Bloodthirster there. Bloodthirster's taken out. So Bloodthirster, even though it was on its last legs, could have caused some major problems over here, but not to be. So the Mechanicum held out in that area. In the middle here there was some fire from here, and it took out the 2 leading Iron Warriors just there. Means that the Iron Warriors kind of control the middle, and the Space Marines and Mechanicum sort of control the outsides. Over this side we had the 2 remaining Terminators take out the final Iron Warrior, and over here there was one lot of firing here just to take out one las cannon guy just leading out there, sticking his head out. So that's what we have at the end of turn 5. It's fairly evenly weighted. I'd probably say now that the Bloodthirster's gone down, it's in the favour of the Mechanicum, so we'll have to wait and see what the last turn brings us. Well, this is the last roll of the dice for Chaos. Have they done enough? So we had the Demon Prince in the final 6th turn come here and assault the 2 Terminators, taking them both out, controlling that area. Good job there. Probably not so good were the other demons, the Bloodleaders here. They were sitting here and they really couldn't get into combat with anything else. So instead of sort of trying to get closer and then just getting shot to bits by these guys next turn, they just turned tail and sort of ran up to the corner there, so hopefully out of range. Don't want to give the opposition any extra points. The group here with las cannons and melter weaponry etc. fired and took out 1 unit over here. So is that enough? I don't know. It's very evenly balanced. We'll have to see what the Mechanicum and the Space Marines can do in the final turn. Second half of turn 6 coming up shortly. Well, there we have it. That's the end of turn 6 and our battle. And in really what ended up being a close fought victory, the Mechanicum and Space Marines managed to edge out Chaos. So what we had was some firing from these Terminators over here. Tried to take out the Demon Prince, didn't happen, and both the combined firepower from both of these units here only managed to take out one Marine here. The demons are on their way, scurrying off into the void over there, and that is the end of the battle. So now I'll work on the story element, the narrative section, where I build in our, well, what am I doing? That's right, over here I've got our special Space Marine Librarian, and they are going to disappear with the Grey Knights, which the Grey Knights are actually, they're packed away now. The Grey Knights, they're going to basically meander across this board and make their way to the Burning Saw, the Custodes outpost, where we will continue our narrative campaign. Well, there you have it. That is the end of Battle 12. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.